Welcome to Calf Academy, your source for calf care education.
This is the module on spin selling. Spin selling. Success with calf products will come when you're not viewed as a salesperson, but a solution source. Our job is to provide you with the tools to become a solution source for your calf raising customers. Some of these tools are products, training, publication, technical materials, and a spin selling model that I'm going to introduce to you today. Spin selling, why it works. Selling strategy and typical sales techniques focus on products. Too much emphasis is placed on the features and detail of the product or the service that's being sold. Spin selling is a method to understand the buyer's problems and present your products as solutions. This is accomplished using a series of questions to reveal the problems and their implications while positioning you as a credible solution source. It's all about the right questions. Spin selling is a process that was developed following the careful observation of 35,000 sales calls carried out by experienced professional sales experts conducting major sales. From the observations, it became clear that the quality of questions asked by the salesperson were key to whether or not the sale was closed. Spin selling, it's an acronym that represents a progression of 4 types of questions that can take a customer from a prospect to a motivated buyer. The acronym stands for situation questions, problem questions, implication questions, and need payoff questions. We'll look at each type of question in detail. Situation questions are seeking facts. They are necessary as they uncover the context for the buyer's problems. However, they can be overused, especially by inexperienced salespeople. Most salespeople ask a lot more situation questions than they realize. The more senior the buyer, the less willing they are to answer factual questions. Good selling equals good planning, and what we mean by this is successful sellers ask fewer situation questions because they do their homework and know the situation before they go into an operation. If you walk into a sales call with no knowledge about the business, you're wasting their time. Problem questions ask a lot about the difficulties and dissatisfactions the customer is experiencing related to production and health issues with their calves. It focuses on the buyer's pain while clarifying the problem. Practicing problem questions is an effective way to improve your sales results. The problems identified must lead to implied needs your products can solve. The right problem questions help position you as the solution source rather than a salesperson. Someone once said, people do not buy from salespeople because they understand their products, but because they felt the salesperson understood their problems. Problem questions require planning. You work backwards from the problems that your products solve. Problem questions reveal one of 2 needs. Producers are either looking to stop something that's happening that they don't like, or they're looking to have or achieve something that they couldn't achieve in the past. Asking these questions correctly comes with experience. Implication questions reveal the repercussions of the problem to increase the buyer's motivation to change. Implication questions are the most powerful sales questions. They create a clear link between the buyer's problem and your solution. It's critical that you discuss the effects of these problems before talking about products or solutions. Need payoff questions? These transform the implied needs into explicit needs and position your products as solutions to those needs. If done correctly, the customer will link your product to the solution. It's not about convincing buyers, but about creating the right conditions to allow buyers to convince themselves. Need payoff questions ask about the value, importance, or usefulness of a solution. So that's a general overview of spin selling. Now let's look at spin selling a specific product, for instance, colostrum replacers. So let's look at a specific scenario to sell colostrum replacer. You're visiting a large dairy raising their own heifers. You know that currently they don't see the need for colostrum replacer as they're feeding maternal colostrum. But someone in management told you that they're having issues with early calfhood scours and mortality. Number 1, situation questions. Situation questions, remember, are seeking facts. Examples for this scenario are, how are your calves housed? When are your calves weaned? How many calvings per month? What is your current maternal colostrum feeding method or protocol? When are fresh cows milked? How or when is colostrum collected? How much colostrum is fed, and when is it fed to the calf? Is the colostrum evaluated for quality? What colostrum is discarded? How are the calves moved and when? These are the problem questions for this scenario. They ask about the difficulties and dissatisfaction the customer is experiencing. Examples for this scenario would be, what is your current pre-weaning mortality? What is your current mortality day 1 to 7? What is your current scours incidence day 1 to 7? What is the incidence of calves with a dam more than 1 hour? At this point, after asking the problem questions and uncovering the problems, it's important that you have a significant amount of product knowledge of the solution you're trying to position. For this scenario, we're going to take a break from the spin selling and talk about colostrum replacers and their positioning in this scenario for this problem. When looking at disease on a calf operation, there are 2 opportunities to affect or reduce disease on a calf operation. One is to increase the calf's immunity or its ability to fight off disease. Ways we can do that is with colostrum, vaccination, and nutrition. Another way is to reduce the pathogen load, the number of disease-causing organisms, bacteria, viruses presented to the calf. We do this through biosecurity, sanitation, and housing. For this product and this solution, we're going to focus on colostrum. When we focus on colostrum, we have to focus on passive transfer. Passive transfer is the period of time, the window of opportunity when the calf is born, when it can transfer a significant amount of antibodies from the maternal colostrum to its humoral immune system or to its bloodstream. We know that calves in which successful passive transfer is achieved have reduced treatment and mortality rates, improved growth rates and feed efficiency, decreased age at first calving, and increased first and second lactation milk production. So the goals for feeding colostrum need to be kept in mind because just feeding colostrum isn't enough. We want to achieve passive transfer. In order to achieve passive transfer with maternal colostrum, we got to have the right quality of colostrum. By quality, we mean the IgG or antibody concentration. It needs to be 50 grams per liter because the calf needs to get about 150 grams of IgG or antibody to achieve passive transfer. They need the quantity. If it's the right quality, they need to have enough of it to achieve passive transfer. It takes about 10% of the calf's body weight, or approximately a gallon for a 80-pound calf, to achieve passive transfer and get 150 grams of IgG or antibody. The quickness is important. The colostrum needs to be milked out of the fresh cow quickly as the IgG concentration, the amount of antibody in her colostrum, starts decreasing as soon as the calf is born. The efficiency at which it absorbs the antibodies from the colostrum starts to decrease as soon as the calf is born. So the cow needs to be milked quickly, and the colostrum needs to be fed to the calf quickly to achieve the maximum opportunity for passive transfer. Lastly, cleanliness is important. It does us little good to feed colostrum to the calf if we're at the same time exposing the calf or feeding the calf high levels of disease-causing pathogens or bacteria by dirty or contaminated colostrum. This slide depicts all the steps it takes to feed colostrum correctly and achieve the maximum opportunity for passive transfer. We need to milk the cow quickly. We need to remove the calf from the cow quickly. We need to evaluate the colostrum, make sure it's not dirty or contaminated with mastitis or a transmittable disease. We need to make sure the calf has not nursed the cow and contaminated the colostrum and ingested pathogens. Then we need to put the colostrum through several tests to make sure it's of acceptable quality. And then if it's not, we either discard it, pasteurize it, or heat treat it, and supplement it, or discard it and feed a colostrum replacer. An alternative is we can feed a colostrum replacer where we open the package, add the powdered clean warm water, mix thoroughly with a whisk, and fill the clean nipple bottle and feed it to the calf. Colostrum replacers have the known quantity of IgG or antibody, 150 grams per feeding. It's clean, it's free of disease-causing organisms, as shown earlier. Has the right amount of IgG, there's the same quantity can be fed every time, and the calf can achieve passive transfer by only being fed 2 quarts of colostrum replacer versus it takes a full gallon of maternal colostrum to achieve that. Milk products colostrum source is collected from grade A dairies. It's first and second milking colostrum. It goes through 1 freeze-thaw cycle, and then it's heat treated to eliminate the pathogens. Milk's product's colostrum source has a high 50 to 53% IgG or antibodies. It has crude protein of 65 to 80%. It's crude fat of 2%, 0.5 to 2%, and a NASH level of 3 to 6%. The microbiological analysis shows it free of major calf disease-causing organisms. So knowing all that information about our colostrum replacers, then we move on to the implication questions. So knowing all that about our colostrum replacers, we move on to the implication questions. Remember, the implication questions reveal the repercussions of the problem to increase the buyer's motivation to change. Examples are, can you see the failure of passive transfer decreases calf health and productivity? Do you believe if a calf nurses, ingests pathogens, and contaminates the colostrum, did this contribute to early calfhood scours? Is there a chance delaying the milking of fresh cows post-calving is compromising the quality of the pooled colostrum? These are the need-payoff questions. Remember that the need-payoff questions transform the implied needs into explicit needs and position your products as solution. Examples of this, can you see that a colostrum replacer that contains a known quantity of IgG would reduce failure of passive transfer? Of what benefit would it be to have a colostrum ready to feed as soon as the calf is born? There are many opportunities for maternal colostrum to become contaminated. Can you see that it would be valuable to have an IgG source that is more pathogen-free? This concludes the spin selling section.